This wasn't survival, it was domination. Meet the human that makes you look weak. 400,000 years in frozen hell. Rhinos, saber-tooths, giants. They didn't fear them. They hunted them. Shorter? Yes. Softer? Hell nitrogen? No. Twice your bone density? Shoulders built to bench press mammoths. 500 pounds. No protein shakes. Oh, Jim. Born jacked? They deadlift your car for fun. Smashed skulls. Ripped off arms. 94% walked it off. This guy, blind, deaf, still hunting. Death feared them. 74% attacked lions, wolves, bears, and they won. Animals weren't hunting them. They were screaming for mercy. This wasn't survival, it was domination. Meet the human that makes you look weak. 400,000 years in frozen hell. Rhinos, saber-tooths, giants. They didn't fear them. They hunted them. Shorter? Yes. Softer? Hell nitrogen? No. Twice your bone density? Shoulders built to bench press mammoths. 500 pounds. No protein shakes. Oh, Jim. Born jacked? They deadlift your car for fun. Smashed skulls. Ripped off arms. 94% walked it off. This guy, blind, deaf, still hunting. Death feared them. 74% attacked lions, wolves, bears, and they won. Animals weren't hunting them. They were screaming for mercy. Now let's talk about the other Neanderthal beast. Number 7, night vision predator. Imagine being a Neanderthal and looking up from your mammoth stew only to see a pair of glowing red eyes staring at you in the pitch dark. What would you do? Probably die. Of course, because there were predators that hunted Neanderthals during the Ice Age, but they probably weren't as scary as this one. New research suggests that Neanderthals had much bigger eyes than modern humans, 15% larger to be exact. Also, their orbits were positioned higher on their faces, which means they could see very well in the dark, perfect for hunting or hiding from a saber-toothed cat. But what if it's not the predator that's lurking in the dark, but rather the Neanderthal itself? Their eyes might have glowed red in the dark too. Humans who lived alongside Neanderthals had noticeably bigger brains than our closest relatives, the Neanderthals. Although there are debates about whether the difference was 10 or 30%, most scientists agree it was big. And you know what goes along with a bigger brain? Bigger eyes? Scientists think that the reason for this is that the human eye contains more rods than cones than other primates, meaning we can see better in low light conditions. Maybe the humans use their big brains and even bigger eyes to outsmart and outlast their cousins. Or maybe this is just a coincidence. How big are we talking? This graphic says everything. In a total darkness, humans saw your weakness. No, 6, the third hand. If someone ripped your hide off, would you be able to fight back? Probably not unless you have a third hand. Neanderthals did. Have you ever tried to do something while holding a spear with one hand and trying to tear the hide off an animal with the other? It's pretty hard, so it's no wonder why Neanderthals needed a third hand. New research suggests that Neanderthals had strong jaws and large teeth perfectly adapted for ripping apart flesh. Basically, they had the perfect tool for hunting and eating meat. While our jaws may be smaller, our hands are much more dexterous. So when it comes to fighting, we prefer to use a different weapon. Humans had a 70% meat diet, according to scientists. So don't mess with anyone who has a carnivorous bone to pick with you. Humans may have evolved in Africa, but Neanderthals roamed Europe and parts of Asia. You might recognize some of these places. Ripping aside, Neanderthals were still pretty wild. If you want to hear what they sound like, watch our Neanderthal language video. Otherwise, let's continue. No, for the extinction bombshell. You may have heard that Neanderthals went extinct about 40,000 years ago. And you might also know that it had something to do with humans. But what if this isn't true? New studies suggest that humans and Neanderthals interbred so much that the Neanderthal species didn't really go anywhere. Instead, their DNA was absorbed into ours. Here's what you need to know. About 10,000 years after the supposed extinction of the Neanderthals, genetic testing revealed that most people of European descent carry 2 copies of the Neanderthal genome. One theory suggests that humans killed most of the Neanderthals, but a small group survived and interbred with modern humans. The other theory suggests that only a few Neanderthals were left by this time, and they all died within a few hundred years. Either way, their bloodline lives on in all of us. Maybe they didn't vanish after all. No, 3, your inner super soldier. Did you take a DNA test? If you took a 2,3A and DME test, you might have noticed a section that says you are 2% Neanderthal. This is because scientists used the DNA of a Neanderthal woman who lived 50,000 years ago to sequence the Neanderthal genome. They compared it to our genome and found that we share about 99.7% of our DNA with Neanderthals. So where does that other 2% come from? Well, studies have shown that it's the reason why you survive flu season without getting sick and dominate. Deadlift competitions? Okay, maybe not that last one. But seriously, the 2% of Neanderthal DNA you carry gives you some pretty cool abilities, like faster healing and stronger bones. Neanderthals had more robust noses and thicker cranial bones than modern humans. Maybe they were protecting themselves from something. If you want to find out more about these mysterious bones, watch our Neanderthal skull video. Also, don't forget to subscribe. No. 2. Legacy of monsters. Could you stare a Neanderthal man in the eyes? What about a modern athlete? They look so similar, it's scary. Neanderthals lived in Europe and parts of Asia during the last ice age. They were stocky and muscular, perfectly adapted for surviving in harsh environments. They hunted mammoths and other large animals, using spears and other primitive weapons. But they also used tools, made clothing, and lived in social groups. They were smart, too. They had big brains and probably developed complex language skills. Neanderthals died out around 40,000 years ago, but their legacy lives on in the genes of modern humans. Actually, we carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA in our cells today, because humans and Neanderthals interbred before the latter went extinct. Anyway, we may be stronger than Neanderthals, but could you beat them in a fight? Tag a gym bro who'd get crushed. No. Last one, Neanderthal vs. UFC champion. Leave a comment below. Let's start the fight. Thanks for watching. Subscribe so you won't miss any new videos. See you next time.